Music plays a prominent role in almost every Christian church, and has been that way since before Jesus even walked the earth. Did you know that there's a hymnal in the Bible? The book of Psalms. Many of the Psalms begin with instructions regarding which melody or instrumentation is to go along with them. And outside the book of Psalms, there are many other examples of singing and exhortations to sing in the Bible. So you can walk into just about any Christian church and you'll encounter music and singing. But the kind of music and singing will vary greatly from church to church. Some churches will be more like this, with a traditional organ and the whole congregation singing. Others will be more like this, with a praise band doing most of the singing. The way a church chooses to employ music will depend largely on what it wants to accomplish through its music. So, what do we want our music to do? One church might want its music to entertain. Another might want it to lead people into a certain emotional state. Another might employ music to teach. And we could add other purposes to that list. Music is a powerful, multi-purpose tool. And then there can definitely be overlapping purposes. The Lutheran Church has traditionally viewed the chief role of music in worship along the same lines as the music of the Psalms, as a teaching tool. Like every advertiser knows, whenever you add music to words, the music helps to carry the words into the head and into the heart and then firmly plants them there. So it follows that the most important element in Lutheran music is the words. We want our music to teach. A good hymn is one that carries the truths of the Bible into the head and gets it stuck in your head and your heart. Lutheran hymns are designed to be sung as a group. When we sing together, we're proclaiming the gospel to one another. And by playing an active role in the singing, we're learning the words much better than if we were to simply listen. But singing together isn't always a simple task, especially if you don't rehearse beforehand. A choir can spend many hours in practice before singing something in church, but an entire congregation usually does not have that luxury. In addition, some of the participants in the congregation may be excellent, trained singers, and others, well, not so much. That's why churches that emphasize congregational singing will almost certainly have an organ. It's not because the organ is somehow the holiest instrument, but the organ is perhaps the most powerful instrument. And I'd like to illustrate that for you through some waveforms. So basically, the wider the line, the louder the sound. Here's an example of a piano playing. So when a note is played, a hammer hits a string inside the piano, and at that moment that it strikes the string, that's when the sound is the loudest. But then the volume instantly begins to decay and grow quieter. Here's an example of an organ playing. In an organ, when a note is played, a valve opens and air moves through a pipe. And as long as that key is depressed, the air keeps passing through and continues to play that same note at the same volume. If the organist increases the airflow through the pipe, she can actually increase the volume of the note after she plays the note. And that continuous, powerful sound is perfect for supporting unrehearsed congregational singing. You can always hear your note. And there are other instruments that like the organ, can play more than one note at a time, such as the piano. And that's also a very good instrument for accompaniment. The guitar and other stringed instruments can also play more than one note at a time. And then there are other instruments that also, like the organ, can sustain and increase volume. Like in that category, we'd have a lot of reed and brass instruments. But as far as I know, the organ is the only instrument that can do both those things. can play multiple notes simultaneously and sustain volume. And that's the simple reason why organs are so prevalent in churches that practice congregational singing. But by no means is the organ the only instrument that fits into a congregation's worship. Piano can work very well for songs that are more familiar. In addition, other instruments that may not be strong enough to carry voices might still add beauty when played alongside a piano or organ, or alongside a choir or ensemble that doesn't require the full-throated support of an organ. It all depends upon what you want the instrument to do.